It should be on. It's on. Hey, it's on. Woohoo! Welcome to the stream. This is episode number 85 of Everybody Wants to Listen to My Podcast. And I'm your host, Bob Dick Blafferson. I have been informed today by my lovely wife that closed captioning is now showing up on my videos. It's very exciting. So because of that, I'm going to sing a song by either Creed or Pearl Jam today, just to test this out. Because I am a troublemaker. Yeah. All right. Hi. So I posted today's page. It was very exciting. The suggestion was from Salty Snacks. The suggestion was literally the title of the page, which was Offering to the Hamburger Gods. So we did it. Bingo. Done. Checked off. So that's a fun one. Yeah, it's just a special kind of dumb, this page. Because you got to read it like a cave person. If you read it like a cave person, the whole experience is better for you. But a lot of fun. So I've got the originals here. If you are on my Patreon, you can see them there. All the original art that I do for the pages, whatever size and shape it is, I take those scans and I put them on Patreon. So, but for everybody else, you just got to look at it for a second. Here we go. So the first one's the mixed media page that we did yesterday, which is on parchment paper and paper bag. There's some tape in there and some tissue paper and, whatever else, masking tape. And then the rest of the elements I drew on a white piece of paper. I just sat down and kept drawing these two different characters carrying on like a couple of numbskulls, and took out all that information, scanned her all up and shifted it around and put it in here and made this. Yay! So you go in the file. Okay, so yeah, that was fun. It was a lot of fun. 2 days ago, yesterday, whatever it was, on my YouTube, when you first go onto my YouTube page, the video that should come up is the one where I actually show the first 100 one-page suggestions of this year. So if you haven't seen those yet, check them out. It's a lot of fun. There's been a lot of crazy ideas, and I'm trying a whole bunch of different things all the time with these pages. And like today's narrative was shifted to the right so that I could put forward this prominent image of a giant person holding up a lofty hamburger in the sky, which is completely ridiculous. But why not? Why doesn't that work as an example of the crazy notion that this one caveman is having, and he's just trying to describe it to the other one about hamburger gods, right? So a lot of fun in the sun, that one. All right. But again, just trying a different narrative approach. Every time I'm trying to try some kind of different approach to each individual story so that the page that I do isn't exactly the same as the page before. Let me see if I've got, here's the last couple of days just to try to example this. This is 500 years from now, which is entirely in this boxed narrative that follows the course of action from A to Z. And then the page before that is all of these discordant sized, shaped, and angled boxes on top of a matted back. So when you look at the three side by side, hopefully when it's collected, it distinctly separates the first page from the second page from the third page, so that as a person's reading through it, they don't feel like it's just, this repetitive format that, you can't separate one story from the next story from the next story. Ideally, now in other cases, like 500 years from now, I have purposely been doing those following a consistent approach. And the reason that I have been purposely doing that, and the scientists in Peru is the third one of those I did. And I've been consistently following this approach to the same sort of orange rock faces and the same scientist appearing through them. And that's a deliberate intent because while they're one-page comics, and there really isn't much connection from one to the next other than the fact that the scientist just keeps appearing in things. Dr. Corbell Johansson, because he's in a fourth page, which is the Elvis Resurrected for the Holidays page, which is a completely different format. But the reason that I've tried to keep them in a uniform approach is because when you're flipping through the book, that's a little Easter egg. That's a reward. There's two things that you're going to connect to it. One is 500 years from now in the top left corner, and number two is Corbell Johansson? What did I say? And C. It's if you look at them together, there actually is some sort of connective narration, that like some sort of connective thread that you could link one to the next. So yeah. Okay, we've got a whole bunch of ideas. I forgot to post this. Let me get a couple things out here. One, hey, what's an idea you always want to see explored in the comic? Huh? If you have one, write it down. Put it in the comments, and if not, I won't tell anybody. Number two, we got sponsors. Our sponsors are, we got Bob's House of Fish. We stay open late for the halibut. And another sponsor is Fake Explosion. Real bands, real music. I keep saying fake bands. I know it's in the title. Honestly, listen to these things. I put the link on there. Listen to these bands. This is fantastic stuff. Yeah, it really is. They really are good bands. Featuring their latest album, Illegal Casino by Neeson and Jim. This is a great album. I really enjoyed it. Very much so. Also sponsored by One Page Comic Extravaganza. I know it's my own book, so what? This is the book that I did last year that collects the first 40 of these one-page stories. It's in a different format. It's in an upright format instead of a side-to-side format, but you get it. And I've started posting One-Page Comic Extravaganza story times. And they're little videos on YouTube that have me reading and doing the ridiculous voices in my head of the stories that have been done. So I've started doing those. This could be a full-time thing of just doing those, in all honesty, because, there's so many of them and I'm ridiculous. But I do them as I can. I've got 3 ready to go. It's a matter of just having to post one. So, but there's so many to do. It's so much fun. I want to keep them under a minute, but the problem is some of them are so text-heavy. Like today would be text-heavy. This page, mind you, it's quick text. Go on. Dumb idea. That's a quick one. But just the same, it's a lot of text. They got to fit within a minute in order to go into shorts, onto the YouTube shorts. So I haven't got there. Rachel says, I am here. Hi, Rachel. I am here, just somewhat disorganized. Story of my life. I admitted yesterday that I can't even buy my own clothes because I'm so disorganized. Thank you, Lori. So, she does pick out nice clothes. If it was me picking it out, it'd be nothing but tacky shirts and checkered pants. Huh? I look like a professional golfer. All right. Okay, so we got a bunch of suggestions still sitting on the docket. If anybody has any extra ones, feel free to throw them in. We've got a couple cool ones, like fish and whales. I intend on doing. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. I will do fish and whales tomorrow. Who the heck is this? Oh, it's Jim Luan. I'm here, but I'm camouflaged in the background. That's what that shape was. Jim, you're cheeky. I didn't even see him there. I just thought it was a weird shape in the wallpaper. Yeah, so we did the newspaper editor casting, choosing the lead story, casting. Yeah, And then we've got Fish Wars is Friday. Jim has 1 panel, 1 image, 1 word. And I said I'd be doing that this weekend, so brace yourself. We just post. This is officially number 107. But it's actually 99 one-page only comics. It's like every 20 seconds I've come up with a reason for another anniversary. Because so many of the one-page comics that we've done have been 2 pages or more. One of them 6. But this is officially, today will officially be the 100th single-page comic. Unless I go to 2 or 3 pages. I'm complicated like that. That's why they call me Whiskers. All right, so Offering to the Hamburger Gods is suggested by Salty Snacks. So that's good. That's another one down. I've got a bunch of things I'm working on the side that I'm trying to get together. And Rachel. All right, this will be held up in closed captioning, but I saw the bushes rustle, thought it might be you, Jim, or Pantless Paul. It's going to get closed captioned. Are you happy with yourself? It's also going to say, are you hopey or are you happy? So look what you've made me do. All right. I don't even know what I was talking about. Yep. Okay, so we've got a bunch of things on the docket. I've got a couple of little side projects. I'm trying to sort out how to set up the 2 ongoing comic strips that I have. I've got a 26-page piece called A Village Haunted, and I've got it's 32 with the chapter headers, and then I've got a Stream of Conceitedness, chapter 1 done. And I'm just trying to figure out where to set them up. And there's a thing called Indie Planet. I think I'm going to go with Indie Planet. I'm just right now figuring out contract stuff. Jim says,
Chris, I assembled some of the bowling lines last night. I selfishly added myself as a co-anchor on one of them. We're going to need more Chris bowling lines.
I'll get to you later. My goodness, Jim, that's going to get closed captioned. Okay, well, this is good stuff, Jim. I love this. I'm really happy and quite pleased to be a part of Jim's latest project. If you haven't had a chance to go and check out Jim Luan's films under Jim Luan on YouTube, you're missing out. They are some fantastic things. Just play them in the background. They're ridiculous. They're ridiculously good. But at the same time, funny and interesting, and there's all kinds of little human interest nuance in there, But Jim does an awful lot of the voices, and the more and more voices that I figure out that it's Jim doing them, the more and more it makes me laugh. Because I'm pretty sure some of the characters that was absolutely sure were, he scripted his wife or somebody else in, I'm realizing now, I'm pretty sure that's Jim. So, yeah. All right. Hey, Gary Hodges is here. Hello, everyone. It's me, Gary Hodges. Jim says, Jungle Jim and Pantless Paul. Yeah, you know what? That sounds like a good wrestling combination. You guys should be tag team partners. Hey-o! Okay, so we've got I've got a couple things lined up here. I've got a bit of fun in the sun. Oh, hey, today's music is. Let me put this in the old camera. Let's kick this sucker up. Dizzy Gillespie, Dizzy on the French Riviera. Love this album. I've played it before while I've been working in the studio. I play it a lot while I'm working in the studio. I really enjoy this. And if you get a chance to listen to, or there's a YouTube video of him performing live in 1960 some odd on a British television program. And it's got some absolute fantastic Dizzy Gillespie lines in it. Like he introduces a flautist who's going to come on up on stage and flout all over this place. It's just great stuff. The house rules, Hodges. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, check out. I think that Gary should put up a video of him sitting there with anticipation as he waits with bated breath for mail. I think that we need a video of that, Gary. Also, Gary put up a bunch of photos today on Facebook that you should go check out. It is the most poorly attended baseball game I've ever seen, but it looks really cool. I might have registered that wrong, but okay. I've got some ink here.
Hey, Chris, you're facing the wrong way.
Oh, hi, guys. I'm just, I'm going to load my ink. We'll see what color it is, too. It'll be kind of fun. I just got, at this point in my life, I have trays. I just have trays. And inside said trays are pens and things. And then I try to make sense of myself. So, it's the secret of my art. I have no idea what I'm doing. All right, I've been playing and having a little bit of fun in the studio today. And yeah, see, this cartridge is done. So we're going to put a new one in. Jim says, I was listening to Miles Davis last night. Partly research, partly pleasure. Nice. I never really got into Miles Davis. I just didn't. I was always a Cab Calloway, Dizzy Gillespie guy. And it's not that there's anything wrong with Miles Davis, or preferably, I hope that there's nothing wrong with me. But I just never... when I was a kid, he scared me. I'll be honest with that. But is it this way? We'll see. It's this way. Holy camoly. My dear sweet Athabasca. Well, hopefully. Yeah, no, that's not going to stay there. I just killed the pen. Okay, well, that went wrong. Yeah, I've heard Miles Davis and stuff like that. It's just never something I've actively picked up. Never a performer that I've actively pursued any of their albums for whatever weird reason. There's no sense of logic to me. There's no sense of logic to me at all. You know, somebody turns left or turns right? Like my wife and I, when we were first dialing into what music each other liked, she's big on Foreigner. And I was April Wine guy. Strange world we live in. All right, what do we got? Rachel says a one-pager idea here. Ignoring budgetary controls in the art store, as in going for a sketchbook and realizing the receipt reads $89.42. Let's just talk about something here. When you're that specific, $89.42, you're giving away the fact that you're actually talking about you. That's like saying, hey, I just spent $89.42. This is stupid. Sorry, I was getting mad at a pen. It's actually saying that you're the one that spent $89.42 there. Yeah, that is the great dilemma of creative weirdos of going in an art supply store and coming out having actually spent the amount of money that they were going to. You find me somebody that goes in, I'm here to pick up a $10 sketchbook, and they walk out the door with a $10 sketchbook. I'll find you somebody that walked in with $10. It's possibly the only reason that still happens. Because the more you get some, measure of accommodation, the more that you're going to be rather foolish with your expenditures. So, well, this cartridges are not working in this pen. I don't know why right now, and I don't care to get into it. So, I don't know what that idea. I was going to draw with fountain pen, but now I'm not. Okay. ignoring the budgetary controls in the yard store. Right in the book. Okay, here's my question for folks. What do you think of online comics? Does anybody really engage in those? And is there really much interest into that at this point, or is it a waning thing? If anybody has any insights, well, you got insults too. If anybody has any insights on online comics and what their thoughts are there, let me know. I've seen people buy sketchbooks that were like $100 and some odd before, Rachel. So that's. Are you talking about buying a ridiculously expensive sketchbook, or not to say that that's ridiculously expensive? It's just expensive. Go for sketchbook. Spend $89.42. That's Canadian. So that, for the Americans in our audience, that is about $3.85. And for anybody that might be in Britain or beyond, it's probably about £1.50. Okay, so Fish and Whales is tomorrow. I've got a few things to choose from today. One is one panel, one image, one word is Saturday. I'll write this down. Fish and Whale, Friday. And then 1, 1, 1. That's Saturday. Uh-oh. Everybody behave yourself. Philip Chandler's here. Hi, Philip. Okay, newspaper editor, we're done. I have not. Offering to the Burger Gods, we're done. Let's just go back and make sure I'm catching up to everything. Mouse holding, 7 characters in a pit of fear. I haven't done those. Yeah, that's the one I want to talk to Jim about. Earth flooded with diverse creatures that science decided would be a good idea to bring back. Lots of robots. Okay. Hope the 4th is with you all today. Well, it depends on time change. Depending on where people are watching from, it might be the 5th. Or the 3rd. But don't get excited about it. Everybody just sit right down. Just sit right down and think about it. Anytime anybody's been saying, may the 4th be with you, I've been responding, and also with you. So, because I'm very, very funny like that. Oh, Gary Hodges has an idea about Rey that he posted on his page. If you're a Star Wars person and you want to try to give any kind of legitimacy to the new piles of garbage that they've released as films and continue and intend to make more of, his suggestion is that Rey is a clone from Luke Skywalker's hand, which is more interesting than the actual movies. Science will discover the gnome genome is coming up. So that's our Thursday is, yeah. I have no thoughts here. Rat, oyster, Edvard Munch. And then I had another one. Toucan. A toucan binds in an almond. Oh, Lord. Cat's doing karaoke. I did. Okay. Scientists will discover the gnome genome. That's what we're doing. Gary says, I just think that's where they were going, and it would have been better. I think that you're giving too much credence to J.J. Abrams of having a thought in his head. Gnome genome. No, I'm not doing that because it's going to be another Corbell Johansson. I'm sorry, but J.J. Abrams is a hot fire dumpster garbage. So you can't have Earth flooded with diverse creatures at science. See, that's another science one. Enough of the science ones. Mouse holding. We're doing World War II. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have zero thought towards J.J. Abrams' capacity for making a project and finishing it. In the Mafia, oh, not at all. I blame J.J. for the train wreck. Oh, yeah. No, he shouldn't have been allowed to do anything. In the Mafia, Philip Chandler is known as Chandler the Handler. Don't cross him. Phil, if you're just listening in the background, we're all on to you, pal. We got you figured out. All right, mouse holing. That's today's comic. Mouse holing. Does anybody know what mouse holing is? Because I do. I looked it up. Mouse holing is it's when in World War II, it's asymmetric warfare. What that means is that because nobody really wants to get shot, and the Germans were really good at having everything set up so that they could shoot the Allies that were trying to come in and say, Germans, go. No. Right? So what they would do is they'd blow a hole in the side of a building and proceed to smash through every building in order to get through the Germans' positions. It's a kind of a mental idea, but it worked. In the Mafia, Jim was known as Luan the Lunatic. Luan the Lunatic. That is a tough one. That's a tough one, Gary. You got me. Okay, so I'm gonna take my wrist off. My arm. All right, so I think that right off the hop, I'm going to draw a rather precise circle. Maybe it needs workshopping a little bit. Luanatic would have worked, but I read it as Luanatic. Okay. All right, so this is where I'm going to put the text right off the hop. For the title, is going to go inside this circular shape because, of course, your principal thought with a mouse hole is that it's something cut into, it's a circle, it's a hole, right? But what I'm going to do is get a little crafty with it, I think, and make it more like a hole in the wall. Just because, just got to make it interesting, right? So we could also, just for interest's sake, draw the soldiers as mice. Now, I know Art Spiegelman has done a book called Mouse, and he used mice to represent the Jewish people. And I can't remember. I think I can't think of what the Allies were. It's been so long since I read that book. But it's an actual accounting of Spiegelman's dad and his time in concentration camps. Anyhow, so we're going to cut our hole in the wall here, rough, jagged shapes. I was having a lot of fun today in the assembly of the page because just taking simple line art and putting layers and little different screens of textures and stuff like that is a really fun way to do a page. So I was having quite a bit of fun with it. All right, so now I'm going to cut the shadow into inside the shape. And then we'll fill this in as black, right? Oh, I'm missing something. Sorry about that. I'm trying to keep up. Lunatic. Yeah. Yeah, you're getting close. Lunatic. We're getting there. Workshopping. In the mafia, Gary was known as Gary. Tuas. And when you pronounced it, you went, Gary. So I'm setting this up so that it looks like a floor, like a baseboard that the mouse has chipped its way through. And then here's the shadowed area. And then when I go down into the finishing stage of it and I put the lettering on and just sit over top of this dark area. But sometimes, and I recommend, there's a guy named Will Eisner. Will Eisner did The Spirit, amongst a bunch of other things. There's a fantastic story about Will Eisner. I'll tell you in a second. Tangents! Philip says, except the truth was really that I just fixed door handles. Look at this. It's a whole thing about words today. In the mafia, Philip was known as Chandler the Handler. Don't cross him. And then Philip's response to that is, except the truth was that I just fixed door handles. I picture Philip with a big, heavy tool belt that when he walks, it makes his legs go a little bow-legged. And it's just an egregious amount of tools that he will never need to use all of for fixing a door handle. And he's constantly hiking his pants up. You got a broken door handle here? Like that's, yeah. All right, back to my Will Eisner. Will Eisner is the guy that created The Spirit and, did a whole bunch of other things as well. But he's he may well be credited as the first person that published a graphic novel, a comic book specifically in book format, first and foremost. No single issues, no building up to it, no collected anthologies or periodical pieces. The first person that did a graphic novel. And he was fantastic for incorporating visual elements into his title pages and into his title layouts, so that whenever he would draw the opening page or specifically where the words would go in to introduce the story, he would always do them in an interesting way. Like this sets the tone for the page, for the piece, because this story is told through postcards. And there's a postcard at the top of each and every page. But he starts that off right here, at the very beginning, the first page out. Here's another one. I came to you as a friend and you murdered me. Like that's the opening page of a short story. But Eisner was absolutely fantastic for doing that in his pieces. Like here's Hamlet on a rooftop, and he's made Hamlet and rooftop in the same sort of jagged brick shape that he then goes down and draws the same bricks on the rooftop image you see in the first one as he carries it through. That's very similar to the way he's done the lettering here. So I've always liked that about Will Eisner, but I got a better Will Eisner story than this one. Here's another one. There's probably the best one. Visitor. That's the story. Visitor. It shows the idea is it's an alien come to Earth. It's just kind of fun. No, I mean, that's rough, but because it's the 1930s and things have got far more refined over time, but I've always liked that. So I try to incorporate that when I can. You see what's happening? What happens when Gary isn't working on a book? It's a deep dive into insanity. Deep dive into insanity. Rachel loves it when I interrupt myself. That makes me think of something, Rachel. Not that I have a short memory, but can I have his name again? I'll do one better. I'll show you. Will Eisner. All right. And this is the book that he put out called Comics and Sequential Art. It might be one of my favorite informational pieces about how to make comics. And it's wicked old. Will Eisner. Here's my Will Eisner story. Will Eisner walks into a bar. I'm just waiting for the next part. You ever hear, okay, forget it. I'm going to get sidetracked again. So my Will Eisner story is this. At one point in early days of Marvel Comics, when Stan wanted to lean in and, take all the immediate stories and material that he'd pilfered from the creativity of others and claimed as his own. Oh, I'm sorry. Comics that Marvel had published. He wanted to go and take everything to Hollywood and try to have them made into licenses, is what was, he wanted to go and hang out with celebrities. So he wanted to get somebody in as editor-in-chief of Marvel. And so one of the people that he talked to doing, because of professionalism and some degree of conservatism, right? And real good sense about, making sure everything runs in an even keel with the money, is Will Eisner. And so when he brought Will Eisner in to talk about the process, and he sort of laid it all out with Eisner about here's how we pay the creators. And immediately Will Eisner was like, you need... Will Eisner walks into a bar with a parrot on his shoulder. He said, you need to give them proper credit. You need to give them some kind of recompense for their labors, sufficient to their labors. And at the same time, do we have any benefits or anything for our on-staff creators? And immediately he was no longer considered to run Marvel. Because everything else just feels like we're taking advantage of the artists. And that was it for Will Eisner possibly being the person in charge of all the comics. Almost, folks. Almost in the 1960s. Almost changed the course of an industry with ethics and morality. Okay, so there's our place. That's our space holder here for our mouse hole. And then the text, the title for the page will go over top. Will Eisner, an astronaut and a priest, walk into a bar. How many times, Jim, is this guy going into the bar? You got to stick with the first joke, Jim. He goes into the bar, and then what? Will Eisner rides into a bar on a horse. You could do the Stephen Wright joke. Stephen Wright has a joke where instead of a bar, he says, the other day I got on the bus and I saw this beautiful blonde Chinese lady, and I sat down beside her. And I said, hi, how are you? And she says, I'm having a bit of a rough day. He says, why don't you tell me about it? She says, I don't want to tell you about it. I don't even know you. And he said, well, there's something about telling all your woes to a perfect stranger. And it's liberating because you don't have to worry about that stranger ever telling anybody else your secrets. She says, I was talking to my psychoanalyst about my stuff earlier today, and I felt like I got nothing out of it. He's never made as much sense as that. He says, what do you talk to your psychoanalyst about? She says, I got this crazy compulsion for Jewish cowboys. And he says, oh, wow, I don't know what to tell you. She says, that's really nice. You're listening to me, though. She says, my name's April. And he says, well, it's nice to meet you. My name's Chet Goldstein. Okay. All right. Hey, try the veal. Rachel says, I am an example of almost. My parents had my sister first. My mother said never again. There's a comedian named Ramesh Ranganathan. Their first child, just a wonderful blessing of a child. Hello, mommy, does everything correct, and does everything, just a dutiful little young man. And then he says, my second, we really thought we had it figured out as parents, and we really thought we were on top of everything. Our second child, feral. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so there's our first panel. Now, do I do this as? No, I'm not gonna. I don't want to draw everybody as mice. I'm gonna do it as World War II guys. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. I don't want to draw pencil today. That's why I'm all fidgeting and bubbling and numbers and that's just giving a closed caption or something to try to work with. Okay. We're drawing pen, folks.
Chris, you started with pencil. You started with pencil.
All right. You got a second Dizzy Gillespie album on now. He is from Newfoundland, is he not? A comedian? Stephen Wright? I don't know where he's from. I thought he was from New York. I've said my favorite Stephen Wright joke before, I think, on a stream. He's the guy that talks really melancholic and oh my God, you just stop it. I'm an only child. After I was born, my mother said she had her fill. That's a good one. My favorite Stephen Wright joke is he's the deadpan guy. He's like, I keep falling asleep as I'm driving in my car on the highway. So I recorded the sound of a truck backing up for 3 hours. It keeps me awake. Like, it's just really deadpan. My favorite joke that he has is, I've been on the road for 3 months and I forgot to pay my hydro bill. So the hydrant of my house has been cut off. I use flash photography to see my way around at night. And then he gives a nice little pause and he says, takes 87 photos to make a ham sandwich. There's just something about that. Pause. First and second child. Who are my first and second child comedian? What are you talking about? Jim says, I'm the last child, an accident. Science meets spirituality, set upon this world to make you dance. You all have no choice in the matter. You will dance. Every morning I get up and make instant coffee and I drink it so I have the energy to make real coffee. Good job. It's a good one, Tina. Is that? Yeah, that's showing up. Okay. This, once you're in that zone of when you're drawing, it's just sort of, why not just lean into it? Feeling some of the drawing stuff is going okay this week, so why not just go and throw caution to the wind and draw straight in ballpoint pen, straight on in ink. and spoil this record. Tina, that's a great joke. I got a new dog. He's a paranoid retriever. He brings back everything because he's not sure what I threw. Stephen Wright, I live on a freeway. I live on the freeway on-ramp. I leave my driveway going 60 miles per hour. Yeah, all that stuff's just Stephen Wright jokes. He's one of those comedians that as soon as you start, everybody knows his stuff. His first comedy album was called I Have a Pony. And then 10 years later, he releases his second comedy album. It's called I Still Have a Pony. I mean, you got to play the long game with that, or you got to be a fan for a good part of his career for you to get that joke. Like, that's such a joke that that's a 10-year payoff. Have a great stream. Got to take care of my mom. And thanks for coming by, Tina. Good luck with mom today. It's like Jim Gaffigan, his first 5 comedy specials that he did was one for each of his kids, and so the 5th one being called Cinco. It's just great. Like, I love those jokes that people that have been long-term fans will get. The rest of us just kind of don't. Random question number 223. Can you and do you roller skate? I can, but I do not. Because I have size 15 feet, and you try finding a pair of roller skates in size 15. There's some online. I just bought them right now. Without spending $1 bazillion. Yeah, I went back and I watched the stream from the other day where I just went through all the pages, and I have to be honest, and I forgot about some of those pages. I'm like, all right, I remember this now. That's not good. So this is our first soldier. I'm going to have, my intention is to have a couple of guys right here that are all lined up together we got to get in there. And the only way we're going to get in there, and they're going to have this whole elaborate, my plan is this. It's an entirely elaborate plan of how they're going to punch holes through all the buildings to go around and get to the other side of the thing. And I'm going to have of course, the one guy in the group say, why don't we just go around the building? I like in those scenes in films and in books where you've always got that one character that never knows what's going on. I've always liked that. I realize it's a comedic element and it doesn't fit into some stories, but I've always liked that character that, is just out of touch with everybody else, just slightly out of tune with what's going on around them. All right, so we all set? Sorry? That's the best. Okay, random question number 223. Can you and do you roller skate? We've got some responses. Rachel says no, and no, I don't even have a key. Well, if you have a brand new pair of roller skates, Rachel, somebody else is supposed to have the key. I love the flip through, especially with the voiceovers. Oh, thanks, Rachel. That's fun. Uh-oh. It's Joshua Kimball. Curb Your Enthusiasm nails that character. The person that's like just disconnected. Josh, is that what you're referring to? Don't they have to flame throw the mouse first? No. Josh and Amash, although we came up with something different for Mosh the other day. You want to check into that? All right. So we're just... No, I've gone off camera again. So we're just getting these first characters in and get those guys laid in, and as they're scoping out the situation and trying to figure out how they're going to get in the buildings. Hence, mouse holding their way into the buildings. But I like to draw the reader into the contextual narrative with that panel that sort of gets a scenario, a setting, some of the different characters. You know, Josh says, yeah, he's always just a bit behind. I think his character's always kind of been like that, though. It's when he was on writing in Seinfeld, and he plays Steinbrenner. What do you got there, George? What is it? You know, it's a chili bowl. You eat the chili, and then you eat the bowl. You eat the chili, you eat the bowl. Never heard of it. Yeah. I think they had him in the park, in the ballpark at the time, or something like that. Such a great character writer and such a great character performer. Although I don't know that young people necessarily get him very well, because he's such a... I don't know. I think that characters like him probably appear less and less in the world these days. So it creates humor because of his social fumbling creates escalating awkwardness. Oh, exactly. Did you ever see, Josh says the best. Did you ever see Alexi Sales? Is anybody familiar here with Alexi Sales? That is exactly Alexi Sales' whole bit. He had a television show, and the entire show would have this fantastic opening where he would wake up looking like a Ken doll, and he's just the most handsome man, and he goes about getting himself ready, but the camera transitions from the viewpoint of it, him looking in the mirror and brushing his teeth, and then he goes and has a shower and getting his hair, and he pulls his tie up. But from the point where he's brushing his teeth, this is from memory, I don't think you see his face again. So then when he finally comes strutting in, the camera pulls out, and you see it's Alexi Sales, the comedian. You see his face. The first thing it said in his show is, "Who's that fat bastard?" Uh-oh, closed captioning. It's just this fantastic, defying convention, and he has no idea how people see him, because in his head he sees this guy in the mirror. So I like guys like that. I like that kind of sense of humor. One of my favorite Monty Python sketches as a kid growing up was Confuse a Cat, which really doesn't make any sense at all. Conventionally, it doesn't make any sense. I guess I should have been a comedian instead of a banker. My social awkwardness never stimulated humor. I'm here to apply for a loan. Well, it's a good thing you didn't say Joan, because my sister's already married. They don't get it, man. They don't get it. I'm so full of so many dumb jokes. a Canadian comedy group that used to be absolutely mastering on awkward and dissociative humor. Rick Green, who's the co-creator of the Red Green Show with Steve Smith, who was the guy that played Red Green, and Adventures with Bill, that's actually Rick Smith, or that's actually Rick Green. I'm sorry, is the Bill. So those black and white moments on the Red Green Show are like, all right, well, I guess Bill and I are gonna try to make a whirlpool bath here out of this old washer dryer combo, and the whole thing is, he was in a comedy troupe called The Frantics before that, and they had these really ridiculous sketches where somebody's always out of touch, but the person beside him, you're never going to be in touch with that person because that person beside him is so disconnected from reality. And there's one where a guy is at a restaurant and he's been waiting for this other dude to show up at the table. And then when the other guy shows up at the table, he's all disheveled. And the whole gist of the joke is that he, what's been taking you so long? And as he's chiding him for a good 30 seconds, the other guy goes, I crapped a piece of pie. You're like, what? And he goes, yeah, okay, sure, yeah. So then I'm sitting there meeting with Bill Gunderson for dinner. And wait, what did you just say? I crapped a piece of pie. I'm sorry. It just goes from there, right? But it's that the other person has no idea what's going on. I love that, and they're really good at it. And they were really good at it in that comedy troupe. I don't know. Maybe it's his type of humor, that the way he wrote things. Because even on the Red Green Show, there's always awkward moments on those too, right? And Red's token saying on that show was, "Well, if they can't find you handsome, at least they can find you handy, because he can fix darn near anything with electric tape." Oh, there we go. The master of duct tape. See, Rachel knows the reference. If you don't, please look up the Red Green Show. It's absurd. Clouseau, does your dog bite? No. Ouch. I thought you said your dog doesn't bite. That's not my dog. Oh my goodness. Somebody's a Peter Sellers fan. All right, so for this page, I'm going to be sitting down and drawing through a number of GI soldiers here as they're trying to figure out how they're going to get into, be able to get across this little space in town so they can go in and join up with another division or something. War stuff. See, that's the part right there. That's the moment. You just witnessed it. That's the moment where Chris turns something sideways, right? Because as soon as I said, because, they're talking war stuff. The first thought that goes into my head is, I just figured out all the dialogue. Just war stuff. It's a challenging thing, because that really only works if, one, you have to have the characters or the actors emote quite clearly. So there has to be an awful lot of very clear emoting of just, anger or confusion or whatever on the characters' faces and the movement of their hands. So it becomes really difficult to draw. It would be far more easy to shoot video up or have somebody perform it than the complexity of having to draw characters doing so. So then it becomes more verbose automatically. You have to have the characters describe things. You have to have the other person show that they don't get it. Peter Sellers was a genius. Yes, indeed. Love that guy. Monty Python's Nudge Nudge bit hinges on awkwardness too. It surely does. Oh, Faulty Towers. John Cleese at top form for disconnect. Absolutely. What were the old ladies walking down the street shoulder bumping people called? The grannies? The grannies were so great. Yeah, the grannies is there's a problem in I think it's the West Side. I think it's a problem in the West Side, and it's got the whole gang dressed up as old ladies, and they're being a typical British gang, a bunch of rowdy youths, except for it's old ladies, and they're picking on the youth. It's just so good. Rachel says, it's amazing, though, how in real life no one else has the same script that I rehearsed. Well, that's the problems you get into when you talk to the mirror all the time. Doesn't this be funny? Yeah, that sounds like it'll be really funny, Rachel. But then when I go out to perform it, she leaves me by myself. I think that the problem that I have with the way that there's a character called Moon Knight in Marvel Comics. When he was first in the 70s, when it was first disclosed that he's schizophrenic and that he has a schizoid embolism, so he has multiple personality selves that he goes out and does things as. And when that reveal comes in the book, it's massive. The problem with it is that they never again made the full sense of it. And from that point forward, he just is this schizophrenic guy, has a bunch of different personalities. And, you know, it's kind of there was so much unexplored territory until the last few years. I think it was when it was either when Smallwood was drawing a series or Aja. I think it might have been Aja, but that's when they really truly started exploring it, where there's 4 or 5 issues where he's having a team-up adventure with a number of other superheroes. And eventually he gets confronted by a couple of them and then a couple of different people. And what are you talking about? You were there. And they're like, no, we weren't there. It's you, Mark. It's been you this entire time. And you realize that the last 4 issues you've been reading of his book, where he's on this adventure with Captain America, Wolverine, and Spider-Man, they're not there. It's entirely in his head, and all the things that they're attributed with doing in the course of that book, the creators got to go through this quick vignette reveal of it's him doing all of those actions himself. You know, just a fantastic way to explore a notion. But there's so many things you can do with characters that are really, truly disconnected from the full scenario that they themselves are in. The untrustworthy narrator, it's called. Fight Club's a really fine example of that, because of course our lead character really doesn't understand what Project Mayhem is, even though if you haven't seen Fight Club, it's worth watching. It really is worth watching. But I don't want to give anything away just because the reveals in that are so great. You know, it's unfortunate where, you know, Sixth Sense is all given away with just the tagline that everybody describes that film through. And I find that things like that just sort of spoil the broth for everybody to go enjoy. So there's certain things that I'll just try not to do that too. Unlike Rise of Skywalker, or anything else by J.J. Abrams at this point. I think the only thing that his film company has put out that I thought was just is 10 Cloverfield Lane, the original Cloverfield, and Overlord. Because those are just unique or what's the one with the train derailment, whatever that one's called. Hell's Grannies, Joshua says. Yeah. Make tea, not love. Is that the tattoo? Is that the tattoo on the arm? Because one of them has a tattoo. And exactly why would acting out everyone else's life story be odd? I don't know. Let me ask my pal Giorgio. Giorgio, what do you think?
I think it's completely fine, Chris.
He thinks it's fine. What do you figure out that I don't actually have a cat named Corbin? It's been me meowing the whole time. There's a great line in a film called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And there's a line in that film that I cannot see any, because it's set in post, after World War II in Berlin. Because it's set in the 60s, 70s, this film. He says at one point, so there I was sunbathing on a bit of old broken church. He's in a bombed out church building, lying on a door, trying to catch some sun. And I can never look at like bombed out scenes and from World War II photos without ever thinking of that. Well, I got that. Joshua says, Farty Towels. There we go. It's one of the best comedy shows scripted. Well, yeah, it's all right. You guys are going to have to forgive Josh. He's from Barcelona. I'm going to have to disagree with Gary. I don't think Rise of Skywalker is a modern masterpiece of genius filmmaking and story resolution. I know. I just wish he'd stop going on and on about how much he loves J.J. Abrams.
Oh, we get it, Gary. You love the movie. I thought that everything that they did in that film made total sense, blah, blah, blah. You guys just don't get it. Well, we know.
Oh, the J.J. Abrams films that I said earlier that I thought those seem to be the only things that I really enjoyed. I think they were all directed by other people. Gary says, why are you trying to trigger me? Ah, the magic word. Yeah. Gary, you said the magic word. Come in, it's Gary's Playhouse. It's Gary! There's a visual that those of you who get that reference are not going to look at Gary right for a little while.
Come in and put yourself up a chair.
It's Gary! Every character's Gary in that. Except for the genie. I call dibs. For those of you that aren't in the know, the ridiculous reference that Christopher's making towards is Pee-wee's Playhouse. Chandler the Handler says, this is only one Star Wars movie, and was followed by Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That's it. It ended there. Wrong! Rise of the Skywalker, Philip. You got to give it a chance. The Phantom Menace. No ghosts. No ghosts. Boy, was I upset. I looked at the person beside me in that theater when I was at the Phantom Menace and I said, like, dude, I haven't even seen a single ghost. And they said, right, Rose. Go there. There was a question that was asked earlier. I think Rachel was asking, what are your first and second favorite comedians? One of my favorites was Bob Newhart. Oh, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. Oh, and his Phantom Vocals. Yeah. Does anybody know how the Bob Newhart show ended? or Newhart. How Newhart? Which one was this? Which one was first and which was second? It's really important because the second show that he did, the one that has Larry David, this is. Hi, I'm Larry. It's my brother's Daryl, and this is my other brother Daryl. The way that show ends is one of the best television show endings of all time. Like, it's a better 1-2 punch than the end of Dallas. Newhart was second. Yeah, the way Newhart ends is genius. The Bob Newhart show that was before it, well, okay. But the way number 2 ends, incredible. Joshua Campbell is on fire. I just have to disagree with Gary in principle to disagree. Now I wanted to know if the Indian comedian came from Newfoundland. Are you talking about Sean Majender? Sean Majender came from Newfoundland. Yeah. I think we at least agree that Pee-wee's Big Adventure is pretty much a perfect movie. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's a lot of goodness in that film, that's for sure. It's, certain people are going to watch it and just not get it at all, but you can't help them. You can't help them. I like the kid that tries to steal his bike. It's such a great character. Large Marge. Yeah, Josh agrees with your assessment, Jim. Large Marge is fantastic. Yeah, oh, for sure. I think that Pee Wee Herman, I know this might sound a little weird, but I look at Pee Wee Herman as being that decade's version of The Jerk. Does that make sense to anybody? It's very, very much the same vein of comedy. It's very much the same. Somebody really doesn't like these cans, like that. It's that these are perfect examples of a character who is not aware at all of the larger situation that's going on in some cases, but in other cases, in Pee-wee's case at least, he's a little more understanding than what's going on than those around him, because he's always breaking the fourth wall, right? Where he looks at the camera and goes, "The stars are night, big and bright." And then everybody in the background sings, "Deep in the heart of Texas." He laughs at the camera and he walks away. That makes no sense. I tell him, that's the line that I used to meet Lori. I said, "I'm a loner, Lori, a rebel." PW, played by James Brolin. If that's not one to get the ladies to go and watch it, James Brolin plays Pee-wee. Because he does. I like moments in films where something happens and you don't quite get its immediate reference at the beginning of it, but when you do, you sort of realize how ridiculous that scenario is. Like, there's no reason where Austin Powers should look at the camera and go, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach." And the camera pans out and it really is Burt Bacharach doing the music for this film. But and then in the second film he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach and Elvis Costello." You're like, how did they double down on that? So good. Steve Martin's relief scene in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is hard to beat. Oh yeah, very much so. But it really works because of Michael Caine in that. Can I move my camera frame down slightly? Oh, this one? Sorry. I'm sorry. I've been off panel. I apologize. You missed it. I had a whole bunch of little circus midgets hiding out over here. They were all drawing it for me. Secret blown. Is that in camera now? Yeah. All right. All right. Don't give me evils. Oh, has anybody seen Little Britain? Because there's a prime example of one character completely disconnected from it. There's these two characters called Lou and Andy, and Lou is this au pair. He's a caregiver who's taking care of this guy named Andy, and whatever's going on with Andy, he's being pushed around in a wheelchair, and he always looks like he's unable to do anything. And Lou is he doesn't even speak in full sentences. He just mumbles everything. But Lou, the entire time, is, what do you think we should do today, Andy? And he goes, monster truck. That's all he has to say is, monster truck. And he goes, Andy, are you sure you want to go see the monster truck and get tickets for that? And he goes, monster truck, monster truck. And he goes, yeah, but didn't you say that it was sort of meaningless entertainment that doesn't have anything of value for the masses? He goes, yeah, no. It's just, as he watches, you're like, there's no way that guy says that. But every time these two are talking, they're completely in different places. And Lou always gets disrupted, and he's always his attention always gets taken off to the side, or he has to go pick something up, or if he has to go do something. And every time he does, Andy gets out of the wheelchair and climbs up a broadcasting tower, or he takes a soccer ball from some kids in a park and kicks it away on them, and jumps up a tree to get his balloon. Every time Lou looks away, Andy gets up to trouble. It's just one of those things where neither character is really connecting at all to what's going on in the reality of the other one. I love bits like that. Those are the most fun. You know what I like in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is the part where, as Michael Caine is talking to the lady about donating to the cause, he keeps shoving her into a bush. He keeps oh, Baron, what do I do? And he goes, and he takes her and he just turns and puts her into the bush. Do our best not to be seen together. It's like, and then for no reason, he turns around, he spins her around, and puts her in the bush again. Oh, so good. And Glenn Headley's fantastic in that as well. That's the female comedian that is involved in all of those scenarios. What are we at? 118. Is there a comedy that anybody has watched that everybody else hails as being this fantastic thing and they just don't get it? Is there anybody that has some comedic film that is that case scenario for them? Like, there's this one comedy that is so popular with all these people. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It had a television series. I think it's had a number of films, and it's all the jokes in it. It's just nonstop jokes. None of them get a laugh out of me. I don't know if you've seen Sex and the City, but that is a really bad comedy. And the police officer from Law and Order doesn't arrest anybody in that. Oh boy, shots fired. Chandler the Handler does not get Trailer Park Boys. Dun, dun, dun. For those that don't know, you got to see Trailer Park Boys. I know, blasphemy. It never sat with me. And it's Canadian, too. Yeah, but so is the Royal Canadian Air Force. I got a friend of mine that absolutely does not get, he did not get the show Bizarre, but Sex in the City was a comedy. Oh, you loved Royal Canadian Air Force? Our humor might be backwards. Mind you, I wasn't really a trailer park guy either. I mean, how many times can you do the same things over and over again, right? They sort of hit a beat and stuck with it. Funniest character on that whole show is Richard Leahy. Love Actually. Is Love Actually a comedy, or is it just that it's a big film you don't connect to? Was Love Actually really a comedy, though? I thought it was just like an awkward romantic movie. Well, I better put away all those cardboard signs I had made up to stand outside your window with tonight, Jim. I didn't know what I was getting into when I watched Terms of Endearment. At no point did they sit down and write them out like bullet points, or just give us specifically what the terms are. No, it's all this drama. Also, Mrs. Doubtfire, that was a dude. I know, I'm just spoiling all these movies for everybody. Don't worry, they're going to remake it with Tom Cruise. It's going to involve her running a lot. City Slickers, that might be one for me. I don't get Billy Crystal at all. I liked him as Fernando when he was on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. Oh, also in Princess Bride. But the City Slickers films, yeah, nope. All of that 80s bad sitcom, rom-com movie genre, just a lot of a junk. And then some that I loved and nobody else really got that I knew. Like, did you ever see Folks, Folks, with Tom Selleck? It's actually a funny movie. It's got Nanamichi in it. There's this comedy that I know Gary Hodges really likes. The initials of it are S and W. I also don't like opaque comedy, like something that's just so on the nose. Like, did you ever see The Shining? Right? When Jack Nicholson comes around that corner with with the axe at Scatman Crothers, and you hear somebody go with the cowbell. That's just too much. That's too much. Takes your way out of it. The Chandler the Handler says, I'm afraid duty calls and I have to get ready for work. Well, somebody's going to get a kick in. Well, check in tomorrow for the Freddy shoe. Well, come on back tomorrow, Phil. It'll be a great shoe. We're going to be having Double Jiju on the show here, and some lads from Liverpool. So drawing the page is one thing. I tend to like to take whatever the way that I formatted something and put it together. And then when it comes to the dialogue, or when it comes to the turn towards the end of the page, that's where I tend to just go in opposite direction. I mean, there's that whole, I don't know what the heck they call it. This is a Star Wars reference. Gary, just take it easy. Where the unexpected consequence, or whatever this trending movie trope thing came out of it, is I think it's something to do with audience expectations, or as I like to call it, the shamalama ding dong. Depending on what time of day it is, it's the all night shamalama ding dong. But I like to try to take the presented idea and just go a little sideways. I like pages they might visually show something in one way, but then textually you can tell a different story. My sister-in-law lives in another world. When someone made reference to Snell, I know it says no, her comment was, "Oh yes, I love all the Real Wives shows." Listen, those ladies have been through a lot. You have no idea how hard it is for those ladies to come on that show every week and try not to smile. I don't think I've ever seen one of those. I don't think I'm missing out, but I just can't imagine watching all of those. Because it's one thing, I kind of get why some people will sit down and they'll watch rich people's lives, because there's a part of them that wants to be like that. But who in heaven's name wants to be like one of these Real Housewives of whateverville? Like, who looks up and aspires towards that? It's one thing to watch a train wreck, but that's not even a successful train wreck, because it just prolongs and continues. Oh, there we go. And my work is done here. I'm glad you like that, Rachel. They've been through a lot. That's how I like to respond when anybody asks me about Prince Harry. What do you think about this whole Prince Harry thing, right? He's been through a lot. That's usually what I say. No. That, or I say, I hope he and his brother can make things up. We've talked about a lot of random comedy things today, and there's so many great things that people have referenced, and then oddball things that I've brought up. I hope if you like the comedy, if you like that sort of thing, you've written some of these down, because there's so many random things, you know. Like, I might not like Great Canadian Air Farce, but Philip clearly loves it, right? And so maybe it's worth, give it a shot, give it a look. It's interesting when you find something that somebody else really connects to, and you explore it for a moment yourself. Like, I really like Mr. Show, and I really like the movie that they did, Run, Ronnie, Run. But what I really loved in that movie is Dave Ketchner. Dave Ketchner has a character in there that just, every moment he appears on film, it's absurd. And Bob Odenkirk, the guy that people will know from Better Call Saul and Breaking Buds and all those, he's brilliant in it. Like, because it was Mr. Show with Bob and David Cross and Bob Odenkirk, for those that don't know. David Cross being the guy in Arrested Development that joined the Blue Man Group. There's a show with great writing. Highly referential writing, too. You gotta love a show where the narrator threatens the characters that are in the show. They had Andy Griffith appearing on the show. He says, "Yeah, everybody knows he's not a real lawyer. For all we know, he's got bodies buried in bodies in the closet. You know what I mean? Up top." And then the narrator's Ron Howard. He says, "And no, he doesn't. And Job had better watch his mouth." Narrator arguing with the characters on the show. So while these run together, I've got one character here, another character here, and a third character in behind, and hopefully those three characters, one before the next. When you separate those with slight variations on the color, it should differentiate the space, give a lot more depth and volume to the image, even though it's a really tightly contained visual image. When I draw with like this, I tend to draw less about line and more about shapes, more about volumes. That's why these thick, heavy impasto kind of pen lines that I'm putting down, because I'm trying to figure out these shapes in space more so than I'm worried about lovely finished little fluid lines. Move the camera. Sorry, man.
Sorry, everybody.
All right, what are we at? 1:33. I'm going to be wrapping up in a couple of minutes. So I've got it laid out for the rest of this week. Chris Kalu, I believe, suggested fish and whales. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. And then Friday is going to be one image, one panel, one word. If you've suggested stuff and I haven't got to it and you're feeling neglected, let's be honest, let me know and I will reject everyone else and bump you up in the queue. Not like that, but you know what I mean. I don't want anybody to feel like I suggested this weeks ago and he hasn't done it. What's the matter with my ideas? It's all about Rachel and Paul, Pantless Paul. I don't know if that's a good nickname we've given him. Also, that's in closed captioning. When my wife told me about the closed captioning on my videos, I told her that I was going to sing some Creed or some Pearl Jam. Let's see how they deal with that. Line of the day. Overhearing a couple breaking up, the fellow said, wait, could you share all this with the next guy? Feel free. Did you just walk over and high five him and just keep going? That's an Ed McMahon moment. If you're at the next table and you overhear that, you have to go, "Hey-o!" or zinger, just something. It also helps to recognize that they're in a public place and probably shouldn't be doing their nonsense in front of everybody else. But you know, these kids, they've been through a lot. Double down. One of the good reasons to have wheels on your chair is so that when you're drawing things, you can slide all around the room for whatever weird angles you want to put your hand in. Don't turn the drawing board. Don't adjust anything else. Roll around the desk. It helps a lot. And that's the first piece of art advice I could ever give anyone. That, and have you tried not doing art? I better, for those that don't understand sarcasm, that's a great line, by the way. There's I don't know why, something came up in my feed for Instagram. I was trying to check and see if a friend had posted a cat video, and up in my feed came some guy who was on a whatever number of date with a lady, and she decided to tell him that we're only friends, and I hope you don't mind. And she proceeds to tell him that she didn't bring her wallet, or they're still having dinner. And he orders dinner only for himself. Like, oh, man. People are bad. By the way, this Saturday night at 7 p.m. Pacific. Hey, man. How's your movie going? Number 6. Number 6 already. That's awesome, Jim. Who's your special guest this week? What are you guys chatting about? Or trying to get to chatting about? Did anybody see Josh's what was it, a preview stream that he did yesterday? It was all about Finn. Finishing. It's all about finishing. Class move, only order for yourself. Oh my, isn't that something? And people are commending him. It's like, no, that's just a jerk. It's just a jerky guy. Of course, accepting, let's go to a fancy restaurant. I don't want to date you. It's not. They're both jerky people. They found each other. Everybody at 7. Hey, 7. Seven, you're getting here in time to say hi to everybody, and I'll be clocking off in a few minutes. All right, so today is mouse holing. Tomorrow will be fish and whale, suggested by Chris Kalu, and then the day after that is going to be 1, 1, and 1, suggested by Jim Lunatic. Lunatic. We'll work on it, Gary. We'll get it. We're all in this together. We're going to figure out a way to call Jim a lunatic. We'll do it. All right. Sunday. What is Sunday? Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific. Hey, man. How's your movie going? Number 6. Everybody check it out. Anybody else got anything coming up this weekend that are going to be doing a stream? Gary? Josh? Phil's already gone. I know you're thinking, man, it takes him forever to draw like that. Well, I'm doing my best. I do my best. Gary Hodges says the trailer for DVSM 1979 debuts on my Saturday live stream at 11 a.m. Postal Service Time, PST. Pacific. Yeah. I'm going to come up with all kinds of inappropriate things for PST. Pacific's savings time, I think it is. Be there or be. Philip's already gone, 7. And it's Pacific Standard Time, yeah. But immediately a whole bunch of things that I probably shouldn't say, especially if somebody has to close caption it. That's right. I still picture it's somebody in a room on a typewriter, not some sort of algorithm that figures it out. Gary, what time would that be for the rest of the world? If it is 11 a.m. for Gary, it is 1, 2, 3, 2 a.m. or 2 in the afternoon or 1 in the afternoon. For Rachel's nearby me. You can't go by what Gary's time is, Rachel, because he's in Arizona. They don't even change their clocks. They're like, the rest of the world's doing it, Gary. And Gary's Arizonans are like, nope. Not happening. It's still 11 o'clock here. Imagine living on the border. I don't know how exciting a mystery that is. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. in the afternoon for Ontarians. Okay, so I've got enough of these characters laid in. That's a good start. Gary says I'll set up the stream tonight, so if you navigate to my channel, navigate. It should show the time where you are. Navigate. Ooh. Yeah, it's a good word. I like navigate. Helps me figure out where I'm going, a word like that. There are many mysteries to be solved in Christopher's world. You betcha. All right. This is going good. I'm happy with these characters. Philip was up really late last night. Philip's always up late at night. Josh had a stream that started at 2, and I think Philip said then that, oh, I'm watching this and drinking coffee. And it's like, what? Yeah, okay. All right. Everybody take it easy. Okay. Well, I'm going to finish this sucker up. This is a fun page to draw. I like drawing scenes like this. One of the reasons that drawing sort of intense war scenes and stuff like that, I'm not a big war guy, but when you're drawing scenes that are a little chaotic, it's the fun part of that is, of course, throwing in all kinds of random ephemera around them. Like, for no reason, there's explosions 15 feet that way, and so somebody's standing on their foot up on a broken piece of Jeep or something, and he says, all right, everybody, let's go that way, right? And yet beside him are these explosions coming out of the ground that, in any realistic sense, if those were actual detonations, that person would go flying through the air. But I kind of like that in films, like in John Wayne films, really. This is the last time we really saw nonsense like that. Time we had. Okay, quarter to. I gotta start wrapping it up. Listen, thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. This has been a lot of fun. If there's ever anything that I can do, if there's ever anything that anybody's got any questions or anything like that, like, Chris, what's wrong with you? Anything, let me know. I'm all about it. Rachel says, so good to spend time with you, CR7, Philip, Josh, Jim, and of course, Sal and Al, wherever you are. I miss him, frankly. He's doing something else. All right. Okay, I'm gonna get this wrapped up, but I gotta go and get some chicken started. So, thanks everybody for coming and hang out. If anybody has any one-page comic ideas they want to throw at me, let me know. If anybody has any, no one drinking coffee or having a Schwarzenegger big cigar. No, not on my pages. Yeah, if anybody has any ideas for stuff that they want to suggest, or also if anybody has any ideas of anything they want to collaborate on, I'm up for that as well. I'm really getting on top of these other projects that I have aside from the one-page thing that I do each day. So, yeah, I'm just doing some finishing touches on a couple of things. So if anybody wants to do any collaborative stuff, let me know. I would be up for that. If there's I don't know if there's something that you got something in mind, just let me know. Because I'm down with that bad sound. But in the meantime, I gotta get back to it, get some stuff done around the house and get some dinner made. Thanks very much, Rachel. That's very nice of you. Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. This has been super fun. And yeah, I think that in cases like what I've been drawing today, if you don't look at it as the way that I've been working today is, I don't necessarily look at things as line. I look at things as volume, as form. And that sort of lets me do this sort of hatchery business and find shadows and contrast in objects and in people. And it kind of expedites my process. So if you're drawing and you're having a short step about what can I make the lines make the thing that I want, look at the shadows instead and just draw the shadows in to start with. And sometimes that's a surprising way in order to round out compositions. So, okay, it's been fun. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. In the meantime, have some fun. If you got stuff you're working on, love to see it. Bye for now. Everybody's going to be wearing green.